addresses, can you send a request out for every fire escape identified over the next 3 to 5 years to submit the most current certification? So those can go out after 30 days. So you find them, send out a generated letter from a computer that says, so we're asking, at the end, we're telling them all the steps now to remove this violation. Saying to us, to the owner, we have to agree with the inspector, not with you. You're not going to tell us the minimum you want here. We have to convince the inspector what needs to be done, otherwise he's going to order a load test. Got to send the credentials, got to pull a repair permit, must have my license, must be licensed and insured. If you want to find vendors to bid this job, look on Google or Yellow Pages. Vendors must submit their qualifications. Active building, people in it. Live load testing happening every day on that particular fire escape. This is one of my top 10. You don't get too many of these that are this bad. Okay. So I got 347 to show you. I think I've shown you enough. You know what I'm saying? Let's open it up to questions. So let's remember a couple of things. Do you have a deterioration code in your code? That just means it hasn't been kept painted. So can you, from your car, from your vehicle, identify you're inspecting this building and you just happen to glance at this address and it's a brown fire escape? Can you write a violation on 123 Main even though you're down here for 122 Main? Sure. Okay? And that's a deterioration violation. Do you need to see anything structural to continue? Or the deterioration violation is enough? And you write, what do you write on any violation, whether it's deterioration or an unsafe condition? What do you write? First thing you write on the violation. Somebody said repair. Next, paint. It's always repair, paint it, and test it. What does the word test really mean in the code? It means load test, right? Do you want to do load tests? Have you done any load tests? Or do you want an equivalent to the load test? So what's an equivalent to the load test? Confidence test and or a certification, which includes a confidence test anyway, right? So if any engineer can come down and convince you that on whether it's a 2-story building or a 20-story building, that he has investigated everything he can see, and that he has investigated everything you can't see, will you suspend or put off the load test? If they don't satisfy you and they're playing games and dragging you into court, you know, this happens, right? Are you picking on me now? This is just, you know, you're trying to stimulate the economy, what are you doing? That kind of crap. What can you order? Load test. Oh, it's good, it's fine. Okay, then load test it. Either give me a confidence test that satisfies me, which is a standard in Houston now because we had a class on it, and this confidence test is an industry standard. Go check Seattle, go check Tacoma, go check New Jersey. These are tests that are now being used as an industry standard because I don't want from your engineer this letter that I got that says, it's my opinion, to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, the fire escape structure sound that has been kept painted. You want one of those? They do. Have your guy fill out the confidence test, and I need him to tell me, I need to see some photographs of his investigation of the connections into the wall, and have those been verified or nullified. And if there's any welds on this fire escape, I want him to tell me how did he did an expensive x-ray to verify those, or did he nullify them in another way? Oh, by the way, I got 50 to 75-year-old bolts on this building, and I want to know what he used to verify that those things, other than a load test, that they're good, and none of my firemen are going to fall, and none of the attendants are going to get hurt. Right? So, when you're walking downtown, let's talk about an unsafe condition. Unsafe condition is easy, right? Dangling treads, truck smashes, bulging brackets, rust in the treads. What about, what is the one though that it's an all painted black fire escape you're looking at? What's the other thing that if you can't see those obvious troubles? What's another thing you're looking for? On a 50 to 75-year-old fire escape that indicates to you that they've never fixed it. Original hardware, that's what you gotta use. Write that down, original hardware, and they are always square heads and or rivets, or a combination of the two. You see that on the building. The only thing you're looking for when you look up is evidence of maintenance, like some hexes. And in 50 to 75 years old, do you agree that minimally they should have changed out all the treads by now in 50 to 75 years? Minimally on all the platform supports that have square head bolts holding those, minimally they've been reinforced with a gusset or a new hex head bolt. Otherwise, the platforms and the stairs, are they all suspect today just based on age, even if they look great? And when you get there, you can't see any rust penetrating. What are you fearing? You're fearing an unsafe connection or an old connection? And the only way to verify that old connection is with a load test, which is how much? Or can I drill a bolt and back it up with a reinforced bolt? Or if it's faster, cheaper to the client, can I put an impact gun on those and go and unwind those? 7 minutes for me to drill a hole, 2 minutes for me to change out bolts that are square heads. What about a rivet head? Dude, grinder, the little mini wheel cutters, and you go zoom, zoom, and then you pop out the rivets, and what do you put in? New bolts? Do you have to take out the tread and clean it and prime it? No, it was a perfect connection. The only problem is I had to do something cheaper for the client, either load test it for $1,000 or change the bolts for 10 bucks. So all of a sudden you get an engineer that loves load test, wants a load test, and he wants 15 grand for a load test, he doesn't want to fix anything. What do you say to that guy? I said, dude, what are you doing? I'm going to load test it. No, you're not. You're going to refurbish this. This client doesn't need load tests every 5 years. This client wants to refurbish his fire escape so I don't have to load test it. Stop taking all the money, because he wants to use all that money for him, oversight, dragging sandbags around and crap. Dude, that's not for the benefit of my client. Get in here, refurbish this thing, give it a paint job, seal all these joints, and then I'm gonna forego the load test. Stop trying to waste this client's money. So that's going to be a positive thing. Any other questions on, again, the original hardware is the easiest one for you. Just look up. If you don't catch them on deterioration, you catch them on an unsafe condition, which is, if it's not the obvious, it's old age. So unsafe, please make it equals obvious deterioration or obvious connection failure, bulging, huge rust, or age. That's an unsafe condition. The age of the bolt has not been swapped in 50 to 75 years, and that's an impossibility for anything to be outside for that long and not being, minimally the critical connection is being changed out. Right? So anybody have any other questions associated with that? Because that's how simple it is. Are you going to get on them anymore? You going to walk these fire escapes anymore? Peek your head out the window or from the ground. What do you need to see? Right? Deterioration, which is a paint job. And here's the rule of thumb. More paint than rust or more rust than paint? If it has more rust than paint, it's a violation. If it has more paint than rust, then they need a spot paint. That's all they need. So it's a question whether or not you want to buy it. But the unsafe condition, it's so broad that it's now a blown out connection or just age of the bolt. Is enough for you to write the repair, paint, test. Questions? Sorry to hold you guys this long, but it was a nice class. It got recorded, so we're going to provide you with CDs. And he has some things to say.
Yes. 4 hours of CD for a day. And Chief Galvin said anyone that wants to meet with him downtown and look around is fine. However, he said he mentioned this to you. They cannot be in the video without the approval of legal.
Sure, sure. That's okay.
You can't interview them on camera. You can't produce anything without approval of our PIO office.
Right. So this is actually going to go back to you guys. We're not, and even if we do record these guys, again, we'll give you a ball back. We don't have the right to produce them out. You get this all back for your in-house training.
Anybody wants to meet up with him, you're more than welcome to let me know who you are.
And I'm going to be here, and if you want to give me some of your cards, I can make sure you get on our mailing list and email list and get these links directly. Otherwise, Chief Galvin is going to be forwarding some of these links to you.
Thank you. Thank you.